trying to sell the real property without understanding the real estate market. Could that be a mistake? Let's talk about that. If you have hung in there with me for all 7 videos, this is the last in our series. Thank you for sticking with me. If you just stumbled upon this video, then this is the final video in our 7-part series of mistakes we see people do during the probate process. The last video was about insurance and making sure that the property's appropriately insured, so you can go watch that video here. If you have not already downloaded our ebook, we have a link below that you can print off this ebook and have it in your hands to read and use to guide you through the probate process. And my disclaimer, I am not a CPA, I am not a financial advisor, and I am not an attorney. I am a real estate agent who specializes in probate and can help you with the real estate here in the greater Atlanta area. Now let's dive in and talk about why selling the house, one that is going through probate, is just a little different than selling a typical house that you would as a homeowner. Since the homeowner has passed away, often the personal representative may not know much about the house. Even if it was a relative's house, you may not know what's working appropriately, what's broken. You may not know some of these nuances, and yet you are responsible to the creditors and to the heirs or beneficiaries to get the highest price possible for the real estate. On top of it all, because the probate process is very public, you're going to get tons of phone calls from investors wanting to buy that real estate property. And although in certain circumstances, that absolutely might be the ideal thing to do, is to sell it to an investor off market, you still might want to consider to have a real estate agent involved so that you know that that investor is not taking advantage of you. And I love my investor people, but not all investors are looking out for the person who's trying to sell that home their best interest. How do you know what the property is worth? Well, the first thing that you should do is get an appraisal up on the date in which the loved one passed. This is called a date upon death appraisal. One of the reasons why you're going to need this number is for tax purposes. By the time you get ready to sell the house, years could pass depending on whether or not people are fighting over the property and who gets it. If you sell the house within 6 months or a year of the person's death, the likelihood of capital gains needing to be paid will probably be very low or very slim, because from the time the person passed away to what the current market value is, if the market's not increasing dramatically, then you may not owe capital gains. But if it's a couple of years and the market has drastically increased, then the heirs could be on the hook for capital gains because this is not their primary property. So getting with a good CPA to help you with this process is key. This honestly is where most real estate agents don't even know how to guide you on this or point you in this direction. They don't really understand how cost basis works when it comes to the IRS. And although I'm not a CPA, I will point my clients in the direction of a CPA and say, hey, you might want to ask about this cost basis thing. That's why working with a real estate probate specialist, an agent who has gone and got extra training around this, is so key, because the typical agent doesn't understand cost basis. And even though I am not a CPA, it is something I can direct my clients to say, hey, let's get with a good CPA and you need to ask questions around this cost basis thing, because as a personal representative, you are going to have to file tax returns on behalf of the estate. And then the heirs may need to be aware, because they could also be on the hook for paying capital gains. Now, in Georgia, there are 4 areas that the heirs can waive certain things to give the personal representative the right to do certain things on behalf of the estate. And the will can also dictate this. If you're working with letter of testamentary, the will can name that those areas are waived. The first area that can be waived is a leave of sale. That means that you do not have to go in front of the court to get permission to sell the house. You can waive the need to report to the court a full inventory list of all the valuable items. The heirs can waive the ability for the court to have to look at the open books, and you can waive on getting a bond. A bond is purchased when the estate is either big or the heirs might be squabbling and they're worried that the personal representative is going to go off and spend all the money of the estate. They can buy a bond, which is like a little insurance policy to protect the heirs. But that can be waived as well if everybody's getting along and they trust the personal representative. This is an area where real estate agents typically do not understand these things, but one who's gone out and got extra training in it, such as me, understands these things so that I can help you navigate through that process. If you didn't get your leave of sale, then we can work with your attorney to make sure that you can go in front of the court and get that permission. Also, marketing the property appropriately based on your situation. We've got to let all the buyers out there know that this is an estate, and if you have to go in front of the court to get permission to sell it, then the buyer that we get under contract is going to have to be in it for the long haul, because this sort of thing can take time. If you do have permission to sell the house without having to take it in front of court, when we go pull title, there could be things on the title that need to be cleaned up before you can sell. The buyer still needs to know that. They need to know you're working through the process of probate and that they understand that we could run into a big old roadblock and really slow the buying and selling process down. Also, pricing based on condition. Some heirs choose to fix up the house a little bit so that they can get more money. Maybe they just need to replace carpet. Maybe they want to come in and paint or clean up the yard to get more money, to attract more buyers. And some people either don't have the money to do that, the time, and they just want to sell it as is. Getting a good real estate agent to understand what's going on in the market and compare what's going on up here when the houses are fixed up nice versus what's going on in this part of the market when they're not so nice, and pricing appropriately. Finally, getting the most eyeballs on it. Dealing with probate, I also get a lot of investors who reach out asking for properties, and I can expose the house to those investors as well as getting it up onto the World Wide Web. If you don't have a real estate agent who understands the probate process, this could really delay getting the house sold. You could have buyers back out of contracts because they didn't know that they needed to be in it for the long haul. You may have court rejections and have to start over from square one. And so we don't want that happening. We want to try to make this go as smooth as possible. So if you're in the greater Atlanta area, let me help you avoid these issues. I am here to help and guide you through the probate process. And if you're in the state of Georgia, or really frankly, if you're anywhere in the United States and you're going through this and you stumbled upon this video, I can make sure you get in touch with a real estate agent who understands probate. I hope you enjoyed this 7-part series, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Are you digging the kind of content I'm producing? Then be sure to watch this next video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way, you'll be in the know when I release my next video.